welcome back to Smashing Heads Podcast. This is episode 36. My name is Zach, and as always, I'm joined by my wife, Hannah.
Hey, what's up?
And my best friend, Jake.
Hey! Put your hands in the air!
You haven't been introduced yet.
You didn't even finish it.
And my best friend, Jake.
How's everybody doing tonight? My cord got... Why is my laptop on my headphones?
Because you put it there. Yeah, we had a big week. Real big week. Big week for us. Not only...
Was I sick?
Not what I'm talking about.
But I was.
I had Wes on. Ended up being a 2-part episode, which the second part will drop at the end of this week.
I can't wait for this to drop, Jake.
I'm assuming everyone who listens to our show has listened to the Wes interview, or at least has it downloaded, because you know who he is. You know, like, again, we don't need to like pump that one up. Like it's selling itself.
Well,
Hannah wants to pump it up.
If you are following this podcast or listening to this podcast, that means that you know what the challenge is. If you know what the challenge is, or have ever watched the challenge, then you should just know who Wes is.
What would be really weird is if people only downloaded our podcast for our album of the week and movie recommendation at the end of the episode.
There's one guy who specifically
I think
does
that
it.
would be a really great idea.
Yeah.
We should just turn this into a movie podcast.
Well, again, you know what he is. You're going to listen. Go listen to it, because part 2 is going to drop sometime this weekend, and part 2 takes a wild turn that we it's not much challenge related at some points.
We did not change the topic. We didn't.
No, Wes brought it up.
Yeah, he wanted to talk about it, and he just cut and dry.
I'm not going to bury the lead, but just the teaser I've been throwing out there is basically Wes decided halfway through the interview that he wants to single-handedly try to fix all of Jake's dating problems.
Well, I think what we came to realize is Wes came in hot, and so did I.
He told us he was. Because Wes listens, and he'd been listening to us for a while.
And he's probably listening right now.
He hates Jake's guts.
Well,
hates him.
But the thing is that he came around. We both came around.
Did he?
I think he did.
I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, I
don't know.
Well, it's a teaser. Well, you'll have to listen to part 2 of it.
I think there's this love-hate relationship, but I'm a good guy, so I don't hate him.
I don't know that he loves you.
He says you're not a good guy. You're a heel. He's a good guy.
Listen.
He said that he's the good guy that takes out all the bad guys. And when, one of the first things that he said was that he was going to take you out. So what does that make you?
I think it makes us friends, because friends are honest to one another.
I was going with that.
Yeah, again, we...
he appreciates me, okay?
Yeah, Wes is all of our best friends now.
And I appreciate him. He did not follow any of us on social media.
He doesn't follow anybody. I will say there was a moment towards the end of our conversation. Maybe it was the middle of the end. So middle of part 2. He did, for a split second, call me his favorite.
And then you remembered that you accused him of steroids, and he's like, oh, yeah, never mind.
Yeah, and I took it back 3 times.
I never did that.
Bottom line is that was a super fun conversation.
And
super fun.
If you've listened to that one and you've only found our podcast from that episode, go listen to the interview before, where we interview his partner, Dee, because she was awesome, too.
Yeah.
And so if you're new here, we do these weekly recaps. We're recording right now. It's 10:30 on Wednesday. We watch the episode. We record right after. They go up at some point Wednesday night. So unless you hear otherwise from us on social media, we're recording the night of. Now, speaking of social media, you should follow us, because that's where we post anytime subjects change or we get new interviews, things like that. So at Smashing Heads on Twitter, at Smashing Heads Podcast on Instagram. Just search Smashing Heads Podcast on Facebook. smashingheadspodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. I've been really bad this last week or so about emailing people back, and that's my fault.
You have.
So shout out to Paul and Neil and Brian and a couple other people that emailed us. Hannah and I are in the middle of trying to get our house ready to sell, and so we have a lot going on right now.
We have so much going on.
So, follow us on all that, and part 2 again will be coming soon. So if you're new here, we do these weekly, and also if you liked the Ruins, we just recap the Ruins, and so go listen to those if you want to watch back through that. But other than that, we've done a handful of interviews. They've all been super fun. Probably done some interviews with people that were not fan favorites, but we grew to like everyone a whole lot.
Yeah.
You know?
We haven't interviewed anybody that we maybe not necessarily didn't like beforehand, but we haven't had anybody on that we didn't like talking to.
Every person we've interviewed, we've come away with a much higher opinion of them, even if our opinion was very positive to begin with.
It only got better.
We haven't had any negative interactions with any interviews.
Right.
And so that's shout out to Brandon, shout out to Marie, Shane, Cam, Devin. Am I missing anybody?
Scott
Yeager from Challenge Mania.
Boys Night.
Yeah. So again, we've had fun. We're gonna do more of these as they come. We've been talking to some old people. Hopefully, we'll get some of the new people in soon. We've talked to a couple of them, and it's a scheduling thing sometimes. And also, apparently, MTV Production listens to these type of shows, and so
which is very surprising, but also pretty sure I called it a long time ago.
People think that Polly and Cara listen, or at least have people reporting back to them because they've
from
said
us.
Yeah, they've said some things, and so.
And you know what? If they do listen,
I freaking knew it.
Who was it that said, "Keep doing you, boo boo"? Is that? Why are you shaking your head at me?
I don't know. Who
do you
said
not want
it.
me to say that?
No, I don't know who said it.
All right. Well,
Do you know, or are you asking us?
well, I don't know who said it, but I know I've
Okay.
heard it. Maybe I said it.
That's a great quote.
Yeah, that sounds like something you would say on the reg.
Hey, you know what? Seriously, if they do listen, first off, that's cool. Thanks for checking in. But
That's not going to change what we say.
And yeah, if
it's
you're
not going to change what I say.
if you're new here, first and foremost, we are a fan podcast. We are fans of the challenge. We've been watching for a long time. Jake and I have been watching since probably around 2004, 2005. Long time now. Hannah started watching with me during Bloodlines. And so we've got a different perspective because we've all started, again, we just got our own point of views. Jake and I don't agree on things, even though we've been watching the same amount of time. So we argue with each other, and we're going to say what we feel about certain issues. And
We have to, otherwise this podcast
I honestly feel like if I were to start censoring what I feel about the show because I was afraid we might not get interviews or something down the road, it would be disingenuous, and I don't want to be that. And so,
And let's reiterate too that these are not personal attacks. We don't wish. Okay. Well,
You know.
to me,
Yeah.
these are not. We are evaluating what we see on TV.
Yes.
By no means do we have any issues, any problems. Maybe I'm speaking for myself. We don't know these people.
Right.
So I don't have any sort of ill will towards anyone on this show, any sort of
no.
quote unquote vendetta. And
if the interviews have taught us anything, it's that outside of the show, everyone's just a normal person that just happens to be on our TV.
Yeah. My whole thing is I try to speak kindly of people. If I have anything negative about anybody, it's a behavior or an action that has taken place. Nothing on really their character, but any opinions that I have on any of the people that are on the challenge, they are formed solely not on people as people, but these people as characters on a TV show, because they do play it up.
Well, yeah, Wes came in on our podcast in character kind of to start with. And so I guess we can say we all hate him.
No, I love Wes.
yeah, screw Wes, man. This guy.
Yeah, you ding dong. Get out of here.
Listen, you can say all you want, and I'm going to inch my way back to number one spot.
But
That
for him.
redheaded freckle.
just singular.
I wonder if anybody's ever called him just a redheaded freckle.
He's going to be on our
You have
podcast every
now.
week from here on out. So
oh
we'll ask him.
we did tell him. He said he wanted to come back, so we made an agreement,
Yeah,
a
be sure
verbal
to-
agreement with Wes.
Yeah.
Oh,
for
no,
him.
I didn't agree. I just told him, we'll have you on next
No,
next
be
week.
sure to give him a call with that phone number he gave you.
Yeah,
Yep.
I got it.
Yeah.
It's
So-
1-800-FRECKLE.
Yeah.
So to all of our great listeners,
Does that work? Is that enough?
pretty soon
All
you'll
right.
just be hearing 4 voices: myself, Zachary, Jake, and then Weston doing weekly recaps forever.
That is 1-800-FRECKLE is the perfect amount of numbers.
Is it Wes?
Are you calling it?
Is it Wes?
Thank you for calling climate temp. Our office is currently closed.
Is that one of his beta box or box businesses? Did he start Climate Temp?
He might have. I mean, we don't know. That if he did, that's some great viral marketing right there.
That is.
How about that, huh?
Okay, everybody call 1-800-FRECKLE.
No, they're closed. Don't
No, call during business hours and find out everything.
So we pondered, I think, before we get into tonight's episode real quick. I think it was either last week or the week before last. We've recorded a lot in the last 2 weeks. We kind of started to ponder what someone's opinion would be of Kara, especially this season, if you had no prior history or at the very worst just saw last season and this season, Final Reckoning and War of the Worlds. What would your opinion of Kara be? Because ours, honestly, has changed pretty drastically from what we see on TV.
When I started watching with Bloodlines, Kara was my favorite competitor. I rooted for her. I wanted her to be the sole winner of every season. And then last season and this season have really just completely 180 changed my feelings on her character. And so I think we have been watching for so many years, so we obviously can't make ourselves form an opinion on her just in the last 2 seasons without being biased in some way. So I think it's great that we actually found some people that were like that.
We have our opinions, and again, they're based on a long time. And I don't remember if it made it into part 1. It may be in part 2, so this may be a teaser of part 2 for the Wes interview. At one point, his quote, not mine, he says Johnny Bananas is the second most hypocritical person in the house, only behind Kara.
That says a lot.
That says a lot, because he is very much, and we asked him if he plays up the whole thing with Johnny. He just does not like Johnny. Again, that is a lot, and you know he's been on this train for a while. Back to when the whole food fight thing happened. Again, he said he shouldn't have done it, but whatever. There's been some discrepancies between them for sure. But we wanted to know what someone who had no prior history thought of them, and so it just so happens because we started a podcast last season. Jake's little brothers both started watching this show, and so they've watched Final Reckoning and they've watched War of the Worlds. And
they also listen and download every week.
Do they?
They do.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, but shout out to them for that. And we wanted to get their take because all of these people are new to them. There's no history. Like there's some new ones for us because again, new people each season. But this is like a whirlwind of new people for them. So we asked them to record a quick little summary of their feelings on Kara based on what they've seen in a season and a half. So
Who's going first?
Jake.
You know what? Jagger, who is the youngest of the three of us, was very straight to the point with his take on Kara. And
But by the way, Jagger, just so the listeners know, huge Amanda fan.
huge Amanda fan.
He's in love with
got
Amanda.
a crush on her.
Yeah, he said that if in the future we ever interview Amanda, which it's not
She
gonna happen.
she
It's not
she
gonna
does not
happen.
do podcasts.
But if we did, he wants to be here
Okay.
He
because
wants to be in my house.
he wants to sweet talk Amanda. Is what he wants to do.
Well, he's 15.
He's like really young.
Well, he's very confident.
Well, there you go.
You know. So here's what he had to say in regards to Kara.
The reason I like Kara is because she has really big muscles and she could protect me. Oh, and P.S. I love Hulk Hogan.
So I don't know how much you can take away from that.
We didn't get a lot of insight there.
No.
Also, even though I heard that about 30 minutes ago, for some reason I thought he was going to say, P.S. I love you.
Which is one of my movie recommendations.
Yeah.
I know, but
Shout out to Hillary Swank.
both times that
course.
I've heard that recording, there's something in me that is willing him to say, P.S. I love Amanda.
Yeah, again, which surprisingly, a positive spin based on their
No,
interactions.
yeah, this is what we were looking for.
Yeah, and so here's your other brother.
Here's Dawson,
Yeah.
the middle child, who has a little more in-depth of a take.
Yeah.
The reason I don't like Kara is that she tries too hard. She tries to show everybody how much she loves Polly, and it's kind of annoying. ruins my whole image of her. I kind of liked her last season, but ever since this season, she's been really, really annoying.
So I want to just interject before we get into it. His southern accent gets progressively worse.
Yeah.
It's like halfway through, he's like, oh, crap.
Last season.
Yeah. So
Kind of like Carter last season.
He sounds so much like you,
Yeah.
Jake.
it's like,
It's like
it's
George
like
Bush Jr.
It's like halfway through, he decided to do an impression of you. And so again, that's what I wanted to hear. We didn't tell them one way or the other
No.
what to talk about. We just were like, hey, what do you think of her?
Well, I think it actually came up because Dawson had texted me
Yeah, that's what
last week
started
at
it.
some point. We were playing Rocket League, and he texted me and was just like, I can't stand Cara.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, we've been wanting to know opinions. Ask him.
Yeah.
So this where all this stemmed from. It may not be interesting to anybody, but we kind of wanted to know, and so
And we didn't lead them. That's what
No.
or coach them. That's the phrase.
we just said, hey, what are your opinions?
Well, we
And
got two very different opinions.
Jagger's. He's a skinny little kid.
He is
wants
skinny.
He wants her to protect him.
Strong for his size, though.
I'm not saying that.
He's gonna hear this. And
He'll-
he's gonna
listen.
fight you.
I'm
No,
not. I'm
but
saying. I'm not
he's-
saying he's not.
He's
That's what I meant.
15 and he's going to grow into it.
Yeah. So, again, it's just kind of interesting, but
Well, and we got more just weird Cara stuff tonight. I think
a lot of it. Oh, a lot of it. And I wanted to tweet something from our account. You two talked me out of it,
That's
and
right.
you know what?
I talked you out of it.
Well, Jake did too. It's
I
probably
know,
for
but
the best.
I'm the one that talks you out of stuff.
It's probably for the best because we would have probably gotten a lot of backlash on it. But you know what? It was a funny thing, but I'm not going to talk about it now.
If you want to know what it was, you can DM us on Twitter.
No, I'm not going to tell anybody, so don't even worry about that.
Well, thank God, because we got some Joker references tonight.
Let me just say, but great, thanks. Before we start,
I'd literally preface that I've been sick all week.
before we start recording, before we started even watching the episode, actually, we were already people tweeting at us. 3 minutes in, there's already a Joker reference. Like, I can't believe it.
As there should be.
Yeah.
As there should be.
Should there?
And
Yes.
speaking of, I think he knows. I really do.
I hope to God he does.
We've been sent videos and stuff from people.
And I
I freaking called it.
want to be clear. I am not making fun of him. I am enjoying this Joker-esque persona that he is. Oh man, I just deleted my notes.
All of them?
God.
Command
Sucks
Z.
to suck,
Command
doesn't
Z.
it?
Command Z.
Command Z.
There it is. Thank God.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
You
welcome.
better be careful.
So, no, I enjoy this. This is good entertainment to me. And
You gotta admit, it's kind of cringy to watch it.
no.
Oh yes, it
It's
is.
not.
Again,
Oh,
you're
you
playing
love
into it.
wrestling, so you love stuff like
I
that.
do love wrestling, and WrestleMania season's coming up. And what better way to get prepared than having Paulie as a Heath Ledger light Joker?
No,
How
don't
dare you.
don't you dare, don't you dare.
Jared Leto didn't ask anybody why it's so serious.
No.
Jack Nicholson didn't ask nobody.
Yeah, but I know that he's going after the Jared Leto Joker because that's just like the thing right now.
I just
Don't you dare bring Heath Ledger into this.
Speaking of our we'll get into it later. Our movies is 2008, which
My first note was not actually the Joker meme. I forgot.
mine was absolutely.
My first note was, in case anyone forgot, the very first episode of this season, Cara was bragging about two guys fighting over her physically, and I believe maybe it was the second episode. Kyle and Paulie were fighting over the ball in the mud pit, and Cara got very excited. She's like, "Oh, they're fighting over me."
That's what I think about that.
What can you say?
I mean,
Why are you eating while we're recording?
I told you to finish that.
Because if I wait until the end of the pod, it's.
No, I told you to finish it like beforehand.
I'm trying to finish it.
But beforehand.
Why so serious? Am I right?
Yeah, that's great.
Why so serious?
Oh
Is
my
that how
God,
he says it?
Jake.
Yeah, and then
no.
and then you got to kiss some. I'm not gonna say it. You got to kiss.
Gross.
I tell you what, man. At least he's consoling Cara for Kyle being back in the house.
At least he's consistent.
Because
Yeah, you have to give him that.
I mean, if Cara's gonna be stressed,
Wait, consoling her.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah,
He was holding her in his arms because Kyle did not go home.
Because she pitched a fit.
I know.
That is this recess? Can we go now?
Look, Zach, at
Yeah.
some point we just have to take Carl for what she is now.
Which is not
Childish.
a 32-year-old.
So, you
It's
know.
I really think it's her character that she plays
It's
on
not a
here.
character. Polly's a character.
Polly is a
This-
character. Polly is 100% a character.
Here's the thing.
Don't you dare.
Here's the thing. Let me just preface this. I don't agree with Polly's life decisions. I might, if we sat down and talked with him, we may come.
I wish we could.
We may come away with like, you know what? He's fine.
Can I tell you something?
He-
I enjoyed Wes.
Yeah.
I want to talk to Polly.
I don't.
Well, my preface for that is Wes is a fan of Polly after living with him. And Hunter did a live the other day, and they both are. They were like, yeah, we like Polly. Like, he's a great competitor. Now, Wes did have some things, like, obviously.
he said he was great TV.
Yeah.
That's why he said he liked him.
No. On the live, he said we are Team Polly. Like, we like him. And so, listen,
don't know.
at this point, I got to take Wes's word for it because he's lived with him. He had an unbiased opinion going in. He watched him last season.
We need to ask Shane.
Shane's kind of disappeared. And, good for him. I think he's in a place where he's in a relationship. He's happy.
And sometimes you need to take a break from social
And,
media.
yeah, and people
I
are-
do it every now and
People
then.
are unnecessarily mean to Shane. I will say Shane brings some of it on himself for sure.
But some people go out of their way and they cross the line. And Shane, like, once you actually talk to him, like, as like be real,
He's a super sweet
he's
guy.
so awesome, and I love him so much.
Well, continuing with the car stuff, turned into quite the sneaky little creeper around the house.
Yeah, she's
She just waiting on somebody.
she's just eavesdropping on
I
everybody.
do wonder if tonight was edited to make it look like that because we got the
Maybe.
big thing last week. Because she didn't run to Polly and tell what happened.
Can I tell you, it's very reminiscent of the world today. Everybody's. No, hold on.
Where are
Why
you
is it
going
when I
with
try to
this?
make a point, you.
Because you always take it in a direction that I'm not expecting. I thought you could be like, it's very reminiscent of Cheyenne or someone that we've seen on a past season. Be like, of
No,
the
think about
world
it.
today.
Everybody's always ready, like, to pop off about something.
I'm not.
Everybody's always got some sort of ammunition.
I don't.
But in order to have ammunition, you got to stock up, right? And she is stocking up constantly to just pop off at any
yeah,
moment.
but you have to run out of room at some point.
She doesn't.
No.
Always loaded because
Yeah.
she's right around the corner.
Yeah, again, she I look behind me.
Check out in the kitchen. Is she there?
Um,
She's right around the corner.
She's not in
The
my
the
house.
thing is, it's been said, not by us specifically, which we may have, but from people on the show with her, past and present. She has a very large like victim complex where everything is a personal attack against her, and she, even if she does something that somebody else did, somehow everyone's like attacking her. There may be some situations where it's like that for sure, because again, she's the female face of the show, but it's not to the extent that she makes it out to be. And also, again, Wes's quote, not my quote, most hypocritical person in the house. Jake just got yogurt on his
After
jacket.
Johnny.
No,
I got
no,
my
not,
hand
not,
in it.
Not after
Oh
Johnny.
yeah, Johnny is next.
Yeah.
I got my hand all in your yogurt.
So
Do you have any napkins?
My mouth's been all over too.
it's clearly a mindset with her that people are out to get her to some extent.
Yeah. It's just it's another one of those things, right? Like you don't. I don't remember it, right? Like I don't remember her being one of these people like creeping around a corner, like
No,
just
I don't.
like waiting on somebody to like mess up or say something about her. It's like she's on edge all the time. She's always ready to catch somebody in some sort of act. It's just.
Is she the Chris Hansen of the challenge? She's just waiting around the quarter, ready to pounce.
The quarter?
Quarter.
The quarter?
Chris.
Jake, if first of all, how dare you not know this reference? Because you want to bring up To Catch a Predator every time we sit down
God,
together.
yeah. Chris Hansen. For some reason, I was thinking Chris Hardwick.
No.
What?
Yeah. No, yeah. Great show.
Is she Chris Hansen? She's just waiting for the
No,
trigger
because
words.
Chris Hansen eventually comes out and gets you. Like, to your face.
Well, he lets the police get you.
He does.
But he walks out with the police,
Yeah.
and he's like, "You've been caught red-handed."
I don't think he's ever said that.
But basically,
Well, listen, we've spent, about 15 minutes talking about Kara to start this episode.
Yeah, no.
off.
I get that. It's become a. It's hard not to talk about it with how it becomes part of not the show. Even it's just part of everyday life, and we get shown things, and it pops up in everything we do. So again, we started with Joker references. I'm fine with moving on.
Hey, we didn't get blocked, though, so
yeah.
win-win.
So somebody that I do really appreciate being on the show
Turbo.
is Turbo.
Sad Turbo to start this episode off.
Yeah.
What a heart on
The
that guy.
thing is, okay, so Jenna is always going to be my number one. That's my girl. Turbo's my number two challenger.
I'm not going to give him number. I like Turbo a lot. I am not giving him number 2.
I love
It's been
him.
5 episodes.
I love him so much. And yeah, he starts out sad. He's so sad that his friend JP is gone. JP brought it on himself.
Yeah, that's JP's fault.
It's his own fault, but Turbo feels guilty. He feels like he didn't do everything he could to help protect JP from going into elimination. And so it's just he's got a heavy heart. And oh my gosh, how like it made my heart sad.
He made Nani cry.
Yeah, well, so not only JP, he feels like he's let Nani down, and Nani's like, "No, I'm so proud of you. You've done amazing." And he's like, "No, I'm not doing enough. Now I have to do everything I can to protect you because you are where my loyalty is."
He said he learned something like even if they win the challenges, he still can't always protect Nani. Something along those lines.
He said, "Even if we win, I can still lose you."
Yeah, that's what it was.
And I was like, "Oh
What
my gosh,
what a wordsmith.
He's wise." He's
Yeah,
English. English is not his first language, so it's kind of funny.
That is a clever play of word, like a clever turn of phrase. Is even if we win, like I can still lose you or whatever. Like
yeah, like English is clearly not his first language, and so he struggles a little bit. And the subtitles are kind of funny sometimes the way he words things, but he's so wise and funny. So he's like the best of both worlds. He's the new Joss. Just not quite as pretty.
Well,
Joss is pretty.
He's not women's gift to the earth.
Right. But it did touch me when Turbo said in his little confessional about Nani, he just said, "I love her so much."
he calls her mom.
I know, like
Yeah.
how sweet. His concern is disappointing her.
I
Like
mean-
that's so amazing.
Yeah, he's already won shows. Like he knows where he stands. Like
He's here to have fun and to win.
oh no, I think he's here to compete. I
I
don't
thi-
think he's here. I do not think he's here to have fun. I think he's like, oh, I need to be in bed by 8 o'clock so I
I
can
know,
get ready
like
to go.
he's here to win, but he's also going to have some fun and do what he can for Nani while he's here.
I don't think we've seen him one time during the like party hangout times.
He was playing poker tonight.
Was he? Oh, he
Yeah.
did. Because
Yeah.
they showed him at
He
first,
wanted
and
to play
they
poker.
didn't have everyone, and then they came back, and there's more people there when Bear jumped on it. But, yeah, it's he doesn't have a lot of camera time outside of, like, big pivotal parts of the show. He's not causing problems. Like he's not going to be that person. But yeah, it was interesting to see that. And I feel like we got into the daily.
Really quick.
Yeah, really quickly tonight.
Because my next note is Nani is trying to explain to Turbo that they need to keep a steady pace in running. And
but-
he was like, what does that mean?
Before that, I mean, they get put out in the desert again, and TJ was like, hey, you guys are going to be tired because we're playing Tired Out. And basically, I think someone tweeted today, it was like an 8-mile challenge. Like by the time you go back and forth the 14 times, basically there's a color-coded like key up at the top of the dune where the tires are, and you have to come back and stack your tires all the way up to the top in that same color, like color coordination, I guess. And so, I mean, we get into it, and it's an endurance, like it's clearly an endurance one. People like Theo he's an Olympian. Like, he's going to be built for that,
Yeah,
clearly.
this didn't seem to bother him much.
Yeah.
Who is definitely built for it, though?
Bear.
No, say it.
No, they won. We're not there yet.
Definitely
Calm
not
down.
Hunter.
I'm getting there.
You're going to get a timeout.
Hunter's
again.
not built for it.
Yeah, but before we get into the actual game, is when they do like a pre-round like of confessionals, and that's when the whole thing with Bear started tonight. He talks about how horny he is and whatever. Davon is caught completely off guard by all that.
Do you think that's why he was so frustrated?
You know, it may be.
It might be.
He was trying to hook up with Georgia though.
Yeah.
I think that happened though.
They probably did. I mean, again, it is what it is when it comes to them. Like, I don't think they're like holding themselves back from anything. But he did say he was horny, and Davon, I told you, I think I said it last week. I'm starting to turn the corner on Davon. Again, the Big Brother people come in swinging, and sometimes I don't appreciate it.
It can be a little much.
I don't like when they just come in automatically and assume like, oh, I've done another show on a big network that I'll kill this, and this is nothing, because it's a completely different thing. And so I'm starting to turn the corner on Davon. I'll say that. She had some good moments tonight.
Yeah.
So yeah, we get into it, and the first thing I have is just that, yeah, like you said, Hunter just gasses out like almost immediately. Like he like sits down halfway through the first big tire, it seems.
It's like he was, for some reason, he was checked out. I almost feel like, and we talked about this last week, the editing, they want to give us a daily and an elimination in one episode, and
because it's what the people asked for.
Because that's what we've been asking for, but they've cut out a lot of the integral information that's going on in the house, and I almost feel like something happened that made Hunter check out, and so he was not ready today.
I just think he's not great at endurance, and he said as much on their live that they did.
Well, he said as much at the very beginning of this daily.
That's what I'm saying.
Because when they first started, Georgia was getting a little frustrated. She's like, "Why are you not really trying? It's like you don't care." And he's like, "Endurance is not my thing. It's not for me. I'm not good at it. This daily challenge is not meant for me, and you just have to understand that." But it's like because he knows that he's not good at endurance stuff, that he doesn't have to try very hard.
Yeah, again, Hunter's thing has always been, he's very determined and he's very strong, especially for his size. Again, the live that they did with Wes and Hunter, someone was like, who would win and whatever, and Wes was like, well, clearly me. And Hunter's like, no, I would win. And Wes's point was, well, let's talk about the sports that we both play. Like, you're a baseball player. He's like, I play soccer. It's like, baseball is arguably the least athletic out of any major sport, because there's long periods of just standing around. It's not like soccer.
Right.
It's not like basketball, whatever. And so he's like, I would destroy him in anything endurance. And Hunter was like, yeah, I'm just not good at that. So again, this is not his strong suit. We knew that. Again, going back to what Jake is dying for me to say, this is Bill for Paul. He's a soccer player. I mean, again, he's used to running. I don't remember the amount of miles like an average person runs in a soccer game, but it's something crazy, like 6 miles a game or something like that. So, I mean, this is right up his alley. Now, Ninja, I didn't know how she would do on endurance, because American Ninja Warrior is not really like that. But she held her own. I mean, she did really good. Like,
She seemed fine
yeah,
doing this. Like, it did not bother her.
She's in phenomenal shape, obviously, but it's a lot of upper body strength and stuff. So this is the first thing we've seen her do like this.
Well, on behalf of Paulie and the Joker, we appreciate your recognition.
I've never once said he's not good at
You're
competing.
very defiant in it, though. And at some point, you just got to recognize what it is. You can't continue to keep these blinders on. And you do.
I haven't once.
You have.
What? When?
You've allowed for Paulie's, reckless abandon and his disdain for clothing, all this stuff, keep you from recognizing what he is as a competitor. The fact of the matter is post-Redemption House, who's been better?
I mean, yeah, this season he has been really good.
He's been the best.
And arguably you could say that. He has possibly the strongest female, if not the long shot strongest female out of the new competitors. So that clearly does help a lot. Because Natalie or Ninja, because the other Natalie's gone, so I guess it doesn't matter. But
I keep calling her Natalie.
She is far and away, like she was like if you had just a draft where they weren't picking but you were picking the prospects, like she probably would have gone first overall. Because people knew her. She's obviously ripped. And
my question is, if Paulie was not partnered with Natalie, do you think that he would come in first place in all these dailies?
No way. If you gave him like Shailene or something like that, I mean, I'll not even say Shailene because obviously that's
she's the
Wes said that's like the worst casting they've done in a long time.
she's the worst that's on there.
Well, but doesn't that apply to anyone though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because you're only as strong as your weakest link.
Right.
100%.
That's why Leroy has been held back.
He has a very strong link.
Speaking of Shailene, have we heard her speak since episode 1?
No.
She was barely like around tonight, but she didn't say anything.
We didn't, like, they had subtitles when she and Leroy were moving the tire, but she never said anything. He said a couple words to her, and that was it. We didn't see much Leroy.
No. I
think there's still a lot of people in the house.
The preview for next week, we'll see some more Leroy for sure.
We'll also see some more Cam.
Yeah, that's when all that's going to come. We haven't seen a lot of Cam, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, I guess we did. They were in the tribunal, but this episode, not much at all. But yeah, so they do it. It's an endurance thing. Bear quits. He freaks out on Davon.
Cam was not in the tribunal. She was last episode.
Yeah, I'm not talking about tonight.
I was talking about tonight.
No. They're going. He feels like Davon's not going as fast as he wants to, and so he just quits. He just unchains himself from her.
Which I didn't know that they could do that.
Well, he just quit. I mean,
yeah, but I didn't know. I guess they didn't show how they put the chains on. So I didn't realize that if you wanted to, you could just reach down and unchain yourself.
Well, I mean, it's more of like a symbol. Like they're gonna know if you unchain yourself, but it's just to make it harder. It's not to like really restrain you. But yeah, he freaks out.
They didn't have him like locked in like you two are.
Yeah,
in marriage.
Yeah.
Forever.
That's right.
Like what you're saying, you're only as good as your weakest link. Bear needed to realize Davon is going to she's not able to keep up with him apparently the way he's running, and so he needed to cater to that, and he did not at all.
Well, he was horny.
That may be what it was. I mean, we don't know, but he immediately took his shirt off.
He might also have a bad temper.
Oh, he's got a horrible temper. I think we all can see that. So
he could be one of those people that just can't control his anger, and so when he gets really mad and frustrated with someone or something, he just blows up.
I will say I was about to make a note before all this blew up and he quit, which I think we kind of knew he quit just from some previews and stuff. He's competing at a higher level than I expected. He was. God, I thought he was going to be the guy that they just brought in here because he parties, he makes a lot of drama, which is good TV for them.
I thought he would just be drunk the whole time.
He has 1.5 million followers or whatever, so it's a big deal to have somebody like that. So far, he had been competing well, and right as I was about to write that is when he quit, and I was like, okay, well, there you go. Again, we all know how TJ feels about that. Before we get into that, though, the winners of it, Paulie and Ninja coming first. We don't know how close because, again, they're not giving us any times, any infographics or anything.
But it was Vin Diesel in Fast and Furious who said, if it don't matter, God.
No, he said,
it doesn't matter if you win. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch.
That's
or
not
by a
what
mile.
Vin Diesel sounds like.
That's like Dwight D. Eisenhower.
A win is a win. That's what he said. Doesn't matter.
Well, if we're quoting people, I did have one really good quote about Bear quitting.
We'll get to that.
It happened before they found out who won in the tribunal.
Well, let me just run through all the people who got the top three, because it was basically Paulie and Ninja. Then second place was Nani and Turbo, And then the third place was a battle the whole time, from what we saw, between Gus and Jenna and not Nani, but Cara and Theo. We knew this was built for Theo. Theo's a long distance runner.
Gus and Jenna were so close, though.
Well, we don't know. Like, they made it look like they were close. They actually weren't like stacking their tire. They were like walking back whenever it was over. But
I wish they had kept third place, though.
Hannah wouldn't have been able to do this podcast if Jenna would have been in the tribunal. You realize that?
Well, Zach wouldn't have got voted in.
Exactly. It would have been a really good night.
Would have been a really good night for Han.
But yeah, they win, Gus and Jenna, and then no one else was really close, honestly. Those were the top four, and so that's when TJ announces who won, and he goes into. Again, TJ doesn't like quitters. He said it. Like one of the best TJ quotes of all time was when that Brandon kid quit on Rivals 3. Brianna's partner, and he was
missed his girlfriend.
He did.
Yeah.
I watched that clip today, and he's like, I don't even. He's God, I'm gonna screw it up, but it was like, hope to see you never. But it was like the most sarcastic, over the top, because he was mad because he's like, you're taking somebody's place who wants to be here.
He has never been called again. Guaranteed.
No way.
Never been called.
I think
again.
if they would, TJ would like protest the season.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's the same kid that the very first thing they did before they even found out like who was partnered with who, they had to jump out of an airplane. And
that was Nate.
Okay.
That was Nate. That was I saw someone tweet today, or it was on Reddit, I think. They were like, this was the worst rookie class I think we've ever had for a show.
Yeah, they sucked.
And because it was Nate and Christina, and neither one of them very good. It was that Brandon and Brianna, and they're just like, there was a couple of other ones.
They just weren't good competitors.
No,
but my quote, which happened before we found out who won first, second, third, was from Wes, and he said, "Never argue with your partner; she's always right."
Yeah,
and I think that's really good advice.
And Wes is a top grade arguer
to take with you in life. So, Jake,
I don't have a partner.
Well, Zach and I are your partners. Your wingmen, and
Wes might be your wingman.
Might be.
You should never argue with me because I'm always right.
That's not true.
You should never argue with me because I'm always right. Otherwise, you have an unhappy household.
Well, I try to stay out of arguments. I'm a pretty reasonable guy.
That's when TJ kind of, after he announces the results, he says
he called out Hunter first.
Yeah, he goes after Hunter for quitting, is what it seems. So I think there was more that we didn't even see, because I don't think if the two clips we saw, he would have like called him out over that.
Well,
but
he said that Georgia was basically dragging him through the sand.
Again, he's not good at endurance, and so
dogs are howling.
I know they are.
That's my baby.
And then he just goes right after Bear and is like, "This is terrible. Like, what are you doing? Like, you don't ever do this." And then he's like, "It won't happen again." And Bear is like coming back at him, and he just like loudly again, like what your dad would do. He's like, "It won't happen again," and he just kind of like shut it down.
Well, what was so dumb, and everybody else that was standing there rolled their eyes. Bear was trying to argue with him. He's like, "No, I didn't. I wasn't out of line. I didn't do anything wrong."
Yeah, Bear is clearly not a. He's not a thinking man.
No, and TJ basically gave him his final warning.
Well, guys, don't forget he was horny.
You know, a lot. Your mind.
You can't think straight.
That's true. Your blood's going somewhere else.
That's right.
You're lightheaded. He's just running around there. He doesn't know what's happening.
Did you hear that joke he just made?
I did.
It wasn't really a joke. But
hey, good joke.
Yeah. So after that, we already saw who won. We get to the nominations. Clearly, Polly and Natalie are going to still try to go after Kyle somehow, but Kyle's safe because they won the elimination last week, so they have the relic or whatever it's called. And so they're just trying to think of who do we go after
to still get to Kyle.
Yeah, somehow. And they pick Zach and Zahida because Kyle's clearly friends with Zach. And so that's their nomination.
Turbo wanted Bear gone.
He wanted beer gone.
He did say beer at that point.
Yeah.
Because he does. He's like, winners. No, he said that later. But winners never quit and quitters never win. But he just doesn't like quitters, and so that was an easy one. And it is a good call from them. Like that's the easy one to throw for the day.
Yeah, that was not going to ruffle any feathers
No.
except for Bears.
And it was a good reason to throw it in. And then the Theo and Cara kind of like, well, we're clearly throwing these in and these in. So we're going to... Theo has a strong alliance with the UK people.
Very strong.
And so he's like, I can't have Bear go in and Zahida go in and go after Ashley Kane or someone else.
Right.
He's like, we got to pick someone that's not going to screw with that.
And I will say, I am glad that Cara was willing to compromise with him.
Well, she was going to vote for Zach anyway because she was going to side with Polly.
I know, but she clearly wanted somebody else in. But Theo was really serious about not throwing in another UK person.
I will say those British kids, man,
they're loyal.
They're tight. Like they're not coming apart. And like we even see in the elimination night, Zahida would not pick clearly the weaker teams
that would keep them in the game.
What? There's just like 2 teams.
She
that
picked,
don't have
yeah,
a UK person.
again.
on?
2 weeks in a row, you go after people that you're like, why are you even throwing these people in? Like, this is insane.
Yeah.
But maybe they just don't know the show very well.
No.
And so it ends up being Jenna and Gus.
And Nani made sure, she's like, as long as we know, we all understand that Gus and Jenna are not going in.
And again,
because that's Nani's best friend.
Yeah, there's no way they're going in because it's clearly going to come down to Zach and Zahida or Bear and Davon. Like that was
Right.
the only options. And we get into the whole storyline later with Ninja and Bear, but it cuts pretty quickly to the tribunal, and the first people in there are Zach and Zahida, and Zach just doesn't want to talk because he's like, nothing I'm going to say is going to convince anyone otherwise of what they're picking.
And he's right.
Clearly, they're going after Zach because he's friends with Kyle, and he said whatever about Cara. He understands that. They're going in. They're not going to grovel because it's pointless. And he wanted to leave, and that like Cara was, I don't remember what her quote was.
He was like, "Are we done now? Can I go?" And she's like, "No, you can't." Because
it was
you have to tell me, la la la.
It
and
was
he's
very-
like, "Are we done?"
the whole thing, like from her side, was very like entitled feeling, like you must listen to me and what I say.
Yeah, she did actually say, "You have to listen to me," and then he yelled back, "It's not all about you, Cara." And she said, "Right now it is."
Yeah. I get she's just trying to make a broader point that he doesn't care about women and he belittles them. I think
Zahida popped up and she's like, "He's been nothing but respectful to me."
my personal opinion, I just think Zach doesn't like a lot of people, and it just so happens that a lot of them that he doesn't like are women. I'm not saying he's a perfect feminist or anything at all, but I think it just happens to coincide. I think Jenna spoke on it later, but I don't, from my perspective, and we've seen him for a few years, I don't see him specifically just like going after only women. Like Bear, you can make that argument tonight.
Yes.
But I don't feel like that's. I think Zach, again, I just think Zach doesn't like a lot of people.
If we go back to Zach's first season of the challenge, which was Battle of the Seasons, he was in a group partnership in a final throughout the entire season, and we see it at its peak worst in the final. Sam, he screamed at her, called her all kinds of names.
Oh, yeah,
He
wasn't it?
treated her like she was trash on the side of the road. That was super uncalled for.
Frank did too.
Yes, Frank also participated, but we were talking about Zach right now. Yeah. It was totally wrong, and I could see how if you don't really know Zach, if you go back and watch that, you're gonna think that he just hates women because he didn't really yell at anybody else much as he did her.
He didn't yell at Ashley Kay, really. I mean, kind of, but him and Frank also got into
Yeah.
it. Frank was yelling at everybody.
But he and Ashley Kay were exes.
Frank is an equal opportunity offender.
Yes. Anyway, so I do think that some people that would say something like that about Zach are recalling this instance in this final of Battle of the Seasons, and they just have carried that over, not seeing how he has behaved with other women throughout the next few challenges, regardless of Amanda, because they just hate each other's guts.
Which surprisingly, they actually kind of come around on each other.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, we have seen how Zach will treat a female partner in the past. He doesn't hold back if he is just super PO'd at you. But the fact that he never once did that with Zahida, even though she said so herself, she's not good at anything. She's not good at like physical eliminations. She isn't good at like the political game or endurance or anything like that. She said she's not good. So if anything, he has every opportunity to get frustrated and blow up on her, and he never did.
Yeah,
I mean, that makes its own.
I just think he's very
defense.
strong-willed, and he doesn't hit it off with other people who are. Again, him and Amanda were like the two worst people to ever be on a team together because they were neither one going to give in to anything. But
they're both very stubborn.
anyway, his quote the quote that I got out of that is he's just like, Cara, you just look silly. Because she was making like a bigger deal out of it than it needed to be at that point.
Because she kept saying how you're disrespectful to women, and Zahida's like, he's not disrespectful to me.
Yeah. Again, it was strange. Then was Gus and Jenna next, or were they
were
last?
first. And
No, Zach and Zahida were first.
no, Jenna was first. Jenna and Gus were the first ones in there. I take notes in chronological order. Jenna, the only thing she said was, she's like, Zach and I are playing two different games. So I think that says a lot. She didn't really say anything to try to save him. It was more along the lines of saving herself.
Well, I mean, again, he's clearly like hitting it off with Kyle and whatever. Then this is where the if you thought Cara was messy earlier,
Bear's a hot mess.
Yeah, he's out of his mind, and he doesn't want to listen to anyone. He's just trying to fight from the beginning. Davon's like, just shut up. Essentially, like, let's get through this.
Well, here's the interesting thing, and I don't remember if it's in part 1 or part 2 of the Wes interview, but he actually mentions Bear as the best political player out of all the rookies.
Did he say that?
He
I
did.
don't remember.
And then you watch tonight, and I'm kind of missing it.
Well, so
it could be that all the other ones are just that bad.
the preview for next week we saw is Bear in a specific color shirt. He's like kind of getting into it with Wes. That's the clip from the season trailer where Wes is yelling at Bear saying, "You're playing my game." Like he's going at him. And so I wonder if there's a big meeting of them two coming at each other, and that's where it comes from. I don't remember Wes saying that, honestly, but I'm not saying he didn't. But he tonight was not a good show of that. I mean, I think we all can agree on that.
Well, I think it was either edited or portrayed that he's a woman hater, because anytime like any of the girls in there tried to ask him a question, he would just like yell over them or completely bypass them and try to talk to like one of the other men that were in there. Like he did ask, while I think it was Natalie was trying to ask him questions, he just turned to Turbo and he's like, "What do you think?"
To be fair to Bear, I'm not sticking up for him because he was clearly an idiot tonight. At the point you're specifically talking about, him and Natalie had already been into it. They had already been going at it with each other, rightfully so on her part. I'm not saying she's wrong.
Yeah, no, this whole thing was a hot mess.
He wasn't listening to anyone to start with, like at all. Like he wasn't listening to Davon. He wasn't listening to Natalie. Polly, Turbo, Nani, they're not really saying anything. Now Nani jumps in, know, towards the end, but he's not listening to Cara. When he started listening was when Theo started talking, and that's when Cara jumped on. Oh, it's because he's a man, and
But
him and Theo are friends. Like Theo's like, I don't want to throw these people in because I'm friends with Bear. Right. So I'm not defending Bear. Bear was an idiot tonight. He clearly was trying to fight with everyone. I think it just so happened to coincide that Theo talked. He was the first male to talk after he got into all those females.
Yeah.
Now he did immediately then turn to Turbo and ask like, "What do you think?"
But that also that could be because Turbo.
Well, Turbo wasn't fighting with him.
He didn't say anything.
Yeah.
He was really quiet, just kind of observing. So if I were in that kind of situation, I would say, Turbo, what are you thinking right now?
Yeah,
I'm not defending Bear's behavior or any way that he acted. I do kind of see how it could be edited or portrayed as he's a woman hater, or he could just be a woman hater.
I think he can I think he definitely has to prove us more that he's not at this point than that he is.
I'm with you guys, not defending it, but
was it Nani that he yelled to stop flirting with him?
Yeah, which by the way, that strategy. Now, if Wes is talking about stuff like that's how you get your enemies messed up, is you just change the subject and confuse them and bring up something that's not even real, and then they have to think about it. And Louis C.K. used to have an old bit about that. Now, I'm not defending Louis C.K. at all after what he's done now, but he's like, if someone's ever arguing with you and you feel like you're about to get in a fight, he's like, you just bring up something that they don't know what it is, and you're like, yeah, well, you give me back my jacket, and they're like, what? And you're like, yeah, I'm real mad about that, and you just got to catch them off guard, because it really screws with your mind when you're like really dialed in on like going, oh, you're a woman hater, you don't listen to anyone. yeah, well, you're just flirting with me, and you have to kind of like wait.
Yeah, he was like, you've done nothing but flirt with me this whole time.
It's a bold strategy. I'll give him that.
And she started to like argue back. She's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, stop flirting with me.
Hey, I mean,
well, so
he was clearly losing at that point.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I feel like my point's irrelevant now.
Why?
We went into this whole tangent about it's funny now, so I'll just bypass my point.
You can talk about it.
No, I said that I'm not defending. I'm like you guys. I'm not defending it. But the way you approach a conversation with someone too, if you come off as combative,
they're going to come back as defensive,
and no one's going to listen. If you start like, it's like
it's not.
The way Wes came in, like he was coming at you from the beginning.
Yeah. Again,
now his was playful, but
yeah. And I've done this before. To quote the great Albert Pujols,
I don't think you've ever quoted.
I have, absolutely have. I love this quote.
I don't know that you have.
It's not Ricky Son, because he can't say it properly.
What's the real quote?
It's not rocket science.
That's real off.
But he said it's not Ricky Son.
Yeah. Again, Bear was not. Bear should have taken Zach's approach because he wasn't going to make it any better for himself, and he made it a million times worse. A million times worse.
So much worse. So much so that I even looked at you guys and I was like, oh, we know that Paulie's going to vote for Zach. But I almost think that Nani and Turbo and Ninja are going to vote for Bear.
And that they edited it to make it seem to play that aspect up, which was good. Because then it cuts into the before
house.
Before that, we get into. I think Zach was next with he's coming into the house, and he's
going off.
Yeah,
he's had it.
He's going off to anyone that'll listen about Cara.
This is where we see that part of him that when he's just had it with someone that he doesn't like, which at this point it's someone that he doesn't like anymore because they used to be friends. Mm-hmm. This is kind of a taste of how he was his first season of the challenge.
There's a lot of Wes confirmations in this episode.
From when we talked with him?
Yeah, he talked about how, like, this is Cara's life, right?
Yeah.
And even Zach said tonight, this is her life.
Yeah, was that in part one, or I don't remember if it's going to be part two, because we did it all in one take.
Yeah.
Wes basically said MTV leaves it up to the people on the show to tell them if they're burned out or if they need some, like, mental help or whatever. And so if you don't know how to fully de-stress and take yourself out of these situations, it's going to weigh on you and eat you alive. And he said, basically what's happening with Cara right now is she's living this cycle 24/7 because as soon as one challenge is done, they're filming another, or there's reunion shows, or there's How Far is Tattoo Far, and also now she's dating someone who is trying to actively make as big a name of himself on a new show as possible. And so
He's actually doing a good job at that.
it's he's doing good at that because he's taking the heel approach 100%. But if you don't have something else, like Wes has to get back to his job, like,
And his wife.
yeah,
And his dog.
Yeah, and like Amanda is a nurse when she's not doing this show, and I'm not saying everyone is like this, but other people have like big jobs outside of this.
Yeah.
And so I think if you don't learn how to like de-stress and get away from this,
Or at least get back into the real world for a season.
For a
like,
while.
Like some time, not like a television season, but like a season of time to get back to real life, call your mom, hang out with your brother, just be like a normal human being and not a television character.
yeah, and she's having to live this 24/7 for the last however many years, and that's got to weigh on you. I mean, I think we all can agree. I think anyone who is rational about her right now would agree that it seems like it is weighing on her.
Yes.
More
it's
than
a-
I can remember. Like I feel like guys would, like Johnny does the same cycle. I don't feel like this weighs on him like that.
No, I think he goes on vacation afterwards and he just kind of detoxes.
And say what you want about Johnny. Wes said a lot of things about Johnny. I truly feel like he can put people's comments about him in another place and it doesn't affect him. He knows who he is. He knows what he does. He knows what he brings to the show.
I think he also is playing a character when he's on this
Oh,
show.
yeah.
And so like the comments that are on Instagram of people like dissing him, he's like, "Oh, this is about my character on TV. This is not about me personally."
I feel like if any of us met Johnny outside of the challenge, we would all be like, that guy is great. He is very nice. He commands a room. Now, again, if you've done shows with him for 15 years, you probably are not going to like him.
Right. Everybody that I've seen that has met him in person says that he's really charming.
Yeah.
He's somebody that you would want to be friends with.
He's very charismatic, just like in an outgoing sense.
Right.
But I feel like, again, he can separate things. He knows who he is. I don't feel like she's personally there, and so that's. I don't even remember how we got on that, but
It's like she has a huge weight, not like weights that she works out with, but almost like a boulder that is just pressing into her. She's trying to carry it on her shoulders and she's not doing a really good job at it. It's just too heavy for her to carry. She needs to take it off and take some time away from it.
So we get back into Zach is basically in the kitchen, the eating area, and he's talking to anyone who will listen.
He said a lot of really mean
He's
things.
mad. He did, and I think a lot of them have at least a grain of truth to them. I'm not saying I agree with the way he did it, but he said some very disparaging things about her and how this kind of what we said, but I think ours was a little nicer. This is her life. This is all she's doing. But he made some other comments, but he said she's with someone who is blanking her for the fans to get fans, and also that when she is sleeping with him that she's closing her eyes and imagining Kyle because she's still in love with him, which is a theory Jake's had for a while.
That's a theory I've had for a while.
I will say Wes 100% disputed that. He said she doesn't have any feelings for Kyle. She's in love with Polly, or was during this show.
Well, during this show, she didn't know that Polly was cheating on her the entire time.
Which is why this episode in particular is very hard to watch at some points.
Well, as much as I love Zach because I love Jenna, but I also kind of love Zach because he's funny and he's a good competitor, this scene made me uncomfortable because I do feel like he crossed some lines with some of the things that he said because they were a little too far in a large crowd of people. I mean, it's one thing to say it in private to Jenna, but he said it to everybody in the room.
Yeah, he was talking to anyone who was listening. He was mad. I mean, again, I wonder, I'm not saying he would one way or the other. I wonder if he would have been able to leave the tribunal when he wanted to start with, but
Right.
instead of it escalating to whatever it became, if he would have done that. He may have, but I feel like
I don't think it would have been to this extent.
maybe not. I'm not saying anything one way or the other, but I feel like that just kind of exacerbated the situation, made it way worse. So after all that's when Amanda's like, oh, like, hey, enemy of my enemy is my friend now.
Yeah.
It's taking heat off her and Josh. I mean, Josh, 100%. So after all this is when the night gets weird. You have Bear and Zahida and Kyle all hanging out.
Georgia.
No, I don't think George was out there. I think they're smoking. They're just hanging out outside. And Kyle knows he's safe, but if he can get enough of a target on Bear's back that
they won't vote for Zach.
they might not vote for Zach. And so he's egging him on. Like, he's
Right.
pushing Bear. Because he's known Bear for a long time. They're two big names in the UK, and he's like, let's get a couple more drinks in you, whatever. And Bear's like, I don't need any more drinks. He's like, I'm ready right now.
Well, Kyle plays devil's advocate here.
He
because-
loved every minute of it.
And what surprised me is all these UK kids are supposed to be super loyal to each other. And it seems like the new kids have been loyal to Kyle. They're not going after him. They're not voting for him.
But Kyle has 3 seasons worth now.
Right.
So he's known Zach for a while on this show.
Yeah, but Kyle knows Bear because they're friends, like in real life, aren't they? Because I know
They at least
they're,
are.
they're both
yeah.
real famous in the UK,
Yeah, they're at least familiar.
and I think Kyle knows Bear enough to know that it doesn't take much to push him over the edge, and he knows that Bear's had a couple drinks, and he did say, I got the quote, "Get a few more drinks inside you and go upstairs."
Yeah, I think the rookie UK kids are all aligned. I think Kyle's by default kind of with them, but he's not ever brought up when it comes to like Zahida. She's not like, I can't go after, like, and that may have just been because they were safe tonight, but he's played this specific game. He's played the challenge. He's done 2 seasons, full seasons already, and he's got other alliances. He doesn't need to like band together with the rookie. Or he might actually. I don't know.
The thing is, what I've picked up is Kyle is one of the UK kids that has come on to the challenge. He just came earlier than this whole group. He sees how tight knit they are, and no matter what, they're not voting for each other. And they are more keen to including him because he's from the UK. And so I think he's playing that without actually being aligned to them. He's making them think that he's aligned with them without actually doing it, i.e., convincing Bear to drink more and go upstairs and cause a big ruckus.
He just needs to take heat off Zach because he knows Zach is obviously been around the challenge for a long time. He at least is familiar with how he should play it. Like Bear and them, they may be good personalities and they may be what Wes said. He may be great politically, but they've never done this before. And so it makes more sense for Kyle to bank on Zach than it does for someone new who's never done anything like this. Because we just saw Bear quit halfway through the daily today.
Right.
And so,
Well, did you guys happen to notice Bear's shirt?
yeah, it said, I got your back or
And
something.
it was a stick figure, and he had his back.
Yeah, I saw it. It looked like one of those T-shirts you would get at Walmart.
It was good. I like that T-shirt. The weird thing that started happening after all this is that Wes's name starts to get thrown around by the UK kids, being
Which is-
Bear and
They don't
Zahida.
know him.
It has to be.
It didn't know him. I think it goes back to that. They're not familiar because Wes took 5 seasons off.
Yeah. And literally when Dee decided she was going to pick Wes, she's like, there's no way this guy has any enemies.
Yeah.
But,
It has, because it's like, okay, you can rationalize the other people they're talking about throwing in. And they're like, oh, well, Wes and D. And I was like, that's not a favorable matchup for either of you. Like,
Yeah.
Wes, like what we see later, Cara calls it out and they count him. He's got 13 elimination wins.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it comes up first with Bear and Davon. Bear doesn't know anybody except for the UK kids. Davon, this is what, her second season?
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to know Wes.
Yeah, well, she might be familiar with him, but she's not done anything with him. And
I don't know, because he took a long hiatus, and she came from Big Brother.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
And a lot of the Big Brother kids haven't watched the
no,
challenge.
that's not true. Paulie's the biggest
Yeah,
fan.
but Paulie...
He wants to be Wes.
He wants to be CT.
And so, yeah, that is when that starts getting thrown around, which is strange. I think we all were like, that's an odd thing to start talking about. But he basically, Kyle gasses Bear up to where he jumps up.
Body slams the poker table.
He body slams himself into the poker table where about 10 people are sitting there playing. And then he's like, oh, Cam, did you trip me? And his quote from the confessional is like, if I can't play, nobody plays, which doesn't, it's just dumb because
That is dumb.
He might could have played. I don't know. But he basically just pisses everybody off. And Wes is trying to fix the table. And it's just weird. And he's just putting more of a target on his back, which is what Kyle apparently wants.
Exactly.
And this is where the whole ninja, like, this is where she really gets mad at him. This is like kind of the last. She already was mad.
This is her last straw with him.
One thing we didn't talk about is he did go after the way she dressed in the tribunal. He took it to a personal place
It was
on that.
That was. She wasn't dressed bad. She was just wearing a basic like gray halter bodycon dress.
I think you and Bear should hammer this out and have a fashion discussion. I think that's what we're here for.
I will say I do like a lot of what Bear wears. He's got.
You didn't like his shirt.
He's got good sense
Oh,
of taste.
wait.
I didn't say I didn't like it. I said it looks like a shirt you got at Walmart. He wore it well, rolled up the sleeves and everything.
Yeah.
I've got some T-shirts from Walmart. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that.
Yeah. So that whole thing was strange. It was completely unprovoked from what we'd seen, other than Kyle provoking him. But I think from there, that's when it kind of transitions into the elimination. And
And who takes the lead again?
Cara. Yeah.
Well, right before that, Zach actually was talking with Zahida, and he talks about Amanda because she's like, well, who would we call out? Zach, Amanda and Josh? And he was like, well, Amanda and I are kind of getting along now. And he went so far as to say that she's a liar, but the one thing Amanda wasn't lying about is how awful Cara is.
Again, seems to be a theme. One thing we did brush over is you had a moment where Zahida was really anxious about going into the elimination. So her and Maddie kind of have a nice moment together because Maddie just went through it last week. And so that was real quick. So there's not much to do there.
I did have one note. It's just the more I see Zahida, the more I like her, and she's so cute.
Yeah, well,
She's just cute.
good luck with that.
I know.
She's gone.
I really did like her. I hope that she comes back because she really has some heart.
So again, like what you said a second ago, the voting starts for who's going in. Cara takes the lead. This was the most cringy part to watch because she not only is calling out Zach, which what we expected, she starts going after Jenna, which okay. I kind of get why she's doing that from her side, but at the same time, her reasoning is because, they're just so jealous of a real relationship and how a healthy relationship looks.
She called it a healthy relationship.
You typically do stuff like that when you don't feel so great about the situation you're in.
And
to make you feel better.
Again, the people who talk the most about how great their relationships are usually the people who have horrible ones.
Yep.
Yeah, and like
they're overcompensating.
We've personally had a lot of our friends, which we are. You and I are both in the millennial generation. You are at the older side of it. I am probably the youngest of the millennials, and so a lot of our friends are somewhere in between or closer to my age, and they all post at once or twice a day, lovey-dovey pictures of each other
That's not
with
true.
long.
My friends don't.
I said
I
my
sure don't.
friends.
Yeah. Am I right? Good one.
But they have these long posts and talk about, oh, I love you so much. You do everything for me. You're so amazing. We have such a good time together. We have a wonderful relationship. And we've had several ask us, why don't you guys post pictures of each other like everybody else does? And Zach, you have come back and said, usually people that do that are just overcompensating for something. Like I post usually once a month. You do less than that, but
I hardly ever post pictures of myself.
I know. But I usually post on like my Instagram once a month at least. And like for me, that's a lot. But I mean, like we're busy, like actually spending quality time together as opposed to like trying to plaster our relationship all over the internet.
And I personally don't care what anyone else thinks about it. So
because we have a good relationship, we're good.
yeah, I'm not.
I just want to see a picture of somebody's tongue down the other's throat.
Okay.
We don't do that.
Just in general, not
just
us,
anybody
but just yeah.
Between you two.
between us.
I don't care if it's Zach's tongue in your throat
No.
or your throat tongue
Gross.
in his throat.
Gross. Gross.
So, well, that's
I don't
that's,
like that.
That's what this all goes back to is, it may have just been editing because I rewound it to watch it. When Cara is giving her speech, they cut to Polly real quick, and he doesn't say a word. He just kind of swallows and looks down. And I think that may be editing. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that one. But it is during, again, we know more now because we're in the future. This was filmed before all the laundry was aired out for everyone to know, who Cara aired it out herself. Polly was cheating on her. He clearly
the whole time.
Yeah, and so it's very, very, very ironic for her to be calling out someone else's relationship, talking about how they're jealous of what a healthy relationship looks like.
It's weird. It's cringy.
It's hard to watch, to say the least. So she goes after Zach and Zahida. I mean, that was clearly where her mind was at all along.
But
Well-
this whole thing's about her again.
Exactly.
Everything's about her. It's about. It's goofy, man. Like again, you look at what we knew her as, 3, 4, 5 seasons ago and beyond,
Which
and
is
like,
only, honestly, like 2 or 3 years ago.
yeah,
Yeah, she wasn't hooking up with anybody. She knew that she was a strong competitor. Her only focus was winning.
It's bizarre, man, and you can't defend it. And honestly, these people who defend it are goofy too, man. They just are.
Yeah, it's hard to watch. I mean, honestly,
Like you should not support, encourage, defend a relationship where one of the partners is just actively cheating on the other and lying to them about it.
and
That's not healthy. That's not what you should want.
if they are legitimately in a place now where they have fessed up to everything they've done and they've both moved on and whatever, sure.
Hey, man, we wish them well, but
Exactly.
But the history or what we've seen so far doesn't look so hot.
There's an old
know?
saying, is once a cheater, always a cheater. And you know what? For their sake and for their own mental stability with each other, I hope that's not the case. But there's just been too many red flags along the way, and again, it was rough to watch. So Theo's next. He goes after Jenna and Gus, right? Because he can't vote in Bear and Devon. And
Oh,
Yeah.
look, man, I didn't log this stuff. Zach and Zahida go in.
Yeah, he basically he can't call out the British kids because
Yeah.
they're all rookies. So he goes after Gus and Jenna, and then it becomes basically it's a 2-2 tie. It comes down to Ninja, who's last. They've been playing up the Polly angle. I mean, not the Polly, but the Bear angle.
I really thought that she was going to call him out after the whole poker table thing.
I thought she might, but I will say
She's loyal to.
she's smarter. You don't play with your in the heat of the
Emotions.
moment emotions. It's much smarter for her to go after the biggest rival for her partner because that's in turn she's linked to him. That's her biggest rival now, to go after his alliance. So even though she wants to call out Bear, honestly, Bear's probably not a big threat overall. Kyle's made it to a final in his first year. We don't know what Bear's going to do. And honestly, Bear and Davon are so explosive.
He will probably get called into elimination again by somebody else.
He might quit the entire show next week. We
he
don't
might.
know. Like that, it is. I applaud Ninja. She was not just thinking in the heat of the moment and how mad she was. She made the smart play in the long run.
So good for her, but not good for Zach or Jenna. Or Kyle.
Zach and Zahida are in. Then they come down to start debating who they got to pick. They're kind of deferring back and forth.
Zach is pleading with Zahida, pleading with her to choose Bear and Davon because he knows that they'll win.
And if not them, Josh and Amanda.
And either of those choices is not going to ruffle feathers.
We didn't know what the elimination was, but there was a dark box behind them. Clearly, Josh has not been great at puzzles because he almost went home the first day.
Well, he got last.
Yeah, and shout out to Wes for standing on his puzzle piece and not knowing it was there. I don't remember if that's in part 1 or part 2.
That's in part 1.
It's very bizarre. Like, again, Zahida's loyal almost to a fault to the British kids. And so she can't throw in Bear. She can't throw in Ashley. She can't throw in Georgia. And so, it kind of like comes down to Wes and D again, which it's like they weren't even in the picture again. And then it's like in the last minute, they're like, oh, I guess it might be Wes and D.
I think D's and Bear and Davon's reasoning for choosing Wes and D is because Zahida, Bear, and Davon, their reason for wanting to choose Wes and D is because they haven't come in like the top 4 that we've seen in the few challenges this season.
Yeah.
And so maybe they think they're one of those middle of the road teams that they can win.
They might just be ignorant to it as well.
But Zach should know better.
It's just like it's really, I get being loyal to your people, but like you're talking, there's like one team that doesn't have a UK person on it.
Yeah.
1 or 2 teams.
Yeah.
You know,
they're deep. And
Jenna and Gus.
They're gonna have to start turning on each other at some point.
And whereas Zahida may not have known Wes's background in the challenge, Zach knows. Yeah. And so I get taking care of your partner. I mean, even Wes said tonight, roll with your partner, always keep them happy. But like, you know, at this point tonight, like you had to step up. And
I agree with that, except when it comes to eliminations.
Yes.
I think if you clearly have more knowledge of the situation and have been through it, you need to step up and say, I get why you're feeling like this. I'll take the heat. I'll call them out. Because you don't want to make your partner mad, but if you lose an elimination because you're too scared to pick what is a smarter matchup for you,
you're gonna go
you don't have a
home.
partner anymore.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't matter.
What was so frustrating to me is Zach knew better. He should have taken the time. I know they didn't have a lot of time, but he should have, as soon as Zahida brought that up, he should have explained to her and helped her realize that he almost never loses.
It should have been probably Josh and Amanda. It made most sense. Amanda had a huge fight with Zach last season. Josh looked to be an easy target he may be good after all this, but he wasn't good so far. And so yeah, it was strange, and we get into the elimination. They call it Wes and D, and they're just like in go mode. They're like, as soon as we get called, we're ready to go. D's pissed, like she's fired up, and she's even going at Zahida about it, like before they even start. And it turns out it's an elimination called Lights Out, where there's basically TJ has a master like on-off switch, probably 20 yards away from the tents. And in the tents, it's a pitch black puzzle when the lights aren't on. And so at his discretion, he's just turning the lights off, and someone has to run out and flip the switch. From the way they were doing it, I think they had to alternate. It couldn't just be the same person over and over again, because they literally alternated every single turn from what we saw.
They did.
And so...
TJ had way too much fun.
Yeah, Wes said, I'm in the tent, but I know that every time he flips it, he's there smiling.
He had the biggest smile, and he started laughing.
Yeah.
Like, he gets too much enjoyment out of this.
it's fun for him, but we knew clearly Zahida's not good at puzzles because she came in almost like next to last the first day. Zach is not known for being good at puzzles from what I remember.
Well, the big thing you're missing here is Paulie playing with Carr's hair during the elimination.
It was weird. I thought he was going to put it in his mouth. I really did.
I did
Performing
too. He may have, and they just didn't show it.
Yeah.
It's like black magic or something.
Is that how black magic works?
That's weird.
But
be something there.
again, Zach's not known for puzzles. Wes is not bad at puzzles except when he's an idiot and he stands on a piece the whole time.
What a dummy.
But
Come on.
I don't know how you stand on one for a long time.
That
and
redheaded
don't really-
freckle.
Yeah. Remember to call 1-800-FRECKLE. And and D was okay. Like she got middle of the group, I think.
She did say it was either Dee or Zahida that said, I haven't played Tetris in like 10 years.
Zahida, she said she hasn't played since she was 4.
Oh,
And,
so like 20 years.
So it is kind of like a Tetris-y puzzle. Zahida and Zach had a bad strategy because they were trying to work from either end and then try to meet in the middle.
That's not how Tetris works.
It's you might have 4 pieces that work together and you get in the middle and everything's all screwed up. So
Right.
we didn't really see how Wes and Dee like strategized it, but
I think D is what helped them get ahead because when it was the girls' turn to run out,
she beat Zahida.
D was such a fast runner that she made it look like Zahida was a sloth running in slow motion.
Turbo said his quote was, "She's running like a tiger,"
which I guess that means fast.
Yeah.
He didn't say cheetah,
No.
so I guess she's not the fastest.
But no, she again, D was calm, it seemed, and she just did what she had to do. And
She was focused.
Again, I think that was under the radar. She's under the radar pickup,
Yeah.
and we're a little biased because we interviewed her, but
Still, though, I mean, I think compared to all the other teams, they are viewed as like a sleeper team.
yeah, and I mean, clearly they win. I think we all knew they were going to win. Like, if we're all being honest, and we had to put money down,
I would have said
we
that
all would have bet
D
everything
and Wes
on
were gonna
Wes,
win.
Wes and D, and we didn't have. And just so you guys know, even though we've just interviewed D and we just interviewed Wes,
We don't want spoilers.
We did not talk about anything that was upcoming. We didn't ask if they were on 2-3 weeks from now. So
We specifically said we're going to talk about what has been shown on the television up until this point.
in fact, we kind of gave D a shout out how good she was, and Wes was like, "Oh well, she'll be able to let me down in the future." And so it could have been tonight, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so
I forgot about that.
again, the smart money was always on Wes and D because again, Wes has won 13 eliminations, more than anyone else. I mean, it's a record. Now it's 14. And so,
It's because he's been on it for so long.
well, and he took 5 off.
Yeah, so that's just a
and he
lot.
took other random ones off, like the island and some other little ones
Yeah.
like that. But again, that's kind of how it wrapped up. We saw the preview for next week is basically the whole Theo, Cam, Leroy, and Davon is in the middle of
Yeah.
it because Davon had some feelings for Theo, and Cam told her that she didn't, but then she did. So
Well, I just know Leroy's eyes are bugging. And he's wearing that hat again.
I like that hat.
He looks like a good, strong Texas man.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is he from Texas? He was living in Dallas at one point, I know.
Oh.
Wasn't that
he's
right?
in,
on his real
he's
world
in Vegas
season?
now, though.
He said he was like a garbage man in Dallas or something.
He was definitely a garbage man.
Yeah.
I'm not
That's
sure.
how-
where.
That's what hurt his back.
Yeah, that's how he messed up his back. But yeah, so let's get into the superlatives for
Wait,
tonight.
I need to get this in one last time.
Okay.
I love Zahida.
Oh man, it's all of our faults. Neither one of you corrected me. We got so caught up in the car side of it, we didn't even talk about Jenna getting it, like standing up for everything.
Oh, yeah, she did.
Shame on us, man.
Because
that's a big moment.
Jenna is very soft spoken, and we actually
She's not one to speak up.
Mikey, one of our friends has been listening for a long time. He messaged us. He's like, I want to know what you guys thought about that.
Mikey, he called you a friend.
I mean, I'd say he's friends with us. We talk to
Yeah.
him a lot.
He's blown up our Twitter right
Yeah,
now.
I know.
Let him do it. Let him blow it up some more. If anybody has the right to blow up our Twitter
He's
feeds,
been with us for a
it's
long time.
Mikey.
But yeah, when Cara was going on, we got so caught up in the whole Polly side of it and how kind of cringy it was. Jenna, because Kara was like, hey, he treats every woman horrible. He's an awful person, whatever. Jenna, she wasn't having it. And that's very unlike Jenna.
Yeah.
Now, she wasn't mean or like attacking about it, but she did stand her ground and was vocal in front of everybody. And good for her. Like, that's a big moment for her.
Well, she even like told Kara like stop pulling the girl card.
Yeah.
And that's been a thing. A bunch of other girls who've had problems with her, where like you're all about female empowerment, but then you have no problem going after
other
falls
women.
Back into this victim thing,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it all says a lot. But I just wanted everybody to understand that I love Zahida, and she was just so grateful to Zach for being her partner, and he was grateful for her. Like he was glad to have her as a partner. I think if he would have had his choice of anybody, he probably would have picked Ninja or Dee or Maddie. But I genuinely think he's not upset about having Zahida as his partner for this season.
No, they
got along really well.
Fine.
And she, like, her whole thing, I think one of the reasons why he enjoyed having her as a partner is because she owned up to it that she wasn't really good at anything, but she was going to do her very best to try to not let him down.
She did always try very hard.
Tell you what,
Yeah,
I think
she never gave up.
I think Zahida has passed Jenna on your list.
Has she passed Dunbar? That's the real question.
That is the real question. Have you gone
Two
from
different lists.
Dunbar defender to Zahida defender?
Zuffender.
I don't have to defend Zahida.
Oh,
She's just so good and pure.
Well, you're doing a darn good job of it. I'll give you that.
I just love her, and I hope that she gets a call back for another season in the future.
We'll see.
I'd
I don't
love
know.
to see her again.
So yeah, let's get in this pro list for tonight because we're running along. We gotta shut this down.
Amen.
I didn't run a timer tonight, so I have no idea where we're at.
So who smashed some heads?
Ooh, who's going first? Me?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. TJ, when he called Bear out.
Yeah, he doesn't mind calling people out. Again, he got the dad voice.
I've been pretty straightforward with my superlatives. I think Wes.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
I guess nobody was aware of who Wes was, and so
I
Wes
mean-
had to go in and remind /
Prove.
I don't know. But he had to make clear that, like, yeah, this is who I am, in case you forgot or didn't know.
Yeah, and
This is
he's
what I
not
do.
one to call into elimination.
And again, he said he's like in the best shape of his life.
Yeah. He got ready for this one.
He was not like for the last couple that he was on, and so
The little charity ones.
no, but even the other ones, like I think Battle of Seasons, he came in out of shape, just
Yeah.
not where he should be, and
I'm just waiting to see him swim one time
yeah,
this season.
we'll see.
We haven't had any swimming.
It's to be fair, they're in the
They're in
desert.
the desert.
Yeah.
Somebody's got a pool out there, though, or something.
So, yeah, my who smashed heads tonight would it's I'm gonna have to give it to Dee because this is her first chance to really like prove herself.
In elimination, yeah.
Yeah.
She did great.
We didn't know we thought she would do good, but we didn't know how she was gonna do. And again, kind of straightforward, like you said, Jake. But sometimes you just need to, like, you need to shout them out. And also, they both were awesome and came on our podcast this week, like within the last week. So,
Yeah.
again, I have no problem picking both of them. So, who got their head smashed? The coughing. That's right.
Yeah, no. Mine was the poker table.
It doesn't have a head.
Well, the poker table got smashed
Well, it might be Bear.
by Bear.
Yeah. So, what's yours, Jake?
Kara. The Black Widow, the self-proclaimed Black
Why
Widow.
did
No,
she call
she
herself the Black Widow?
I thought she first. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she called West the Black Widow because he went into another elimination, and took someone out.
Man, I could have swore she called herself
I'm
Black
pretty
Widow.
sure she called herself the Black Widow. Somebody tweeted us and said she called herself the Black Widow.
I think that was just a weird turn of phrase. I may be wrong. Someone, if you caught it better than we did, tweet to us. But I'm pretty sure she was making a reference to West going into an elimination and taking someone else out.
Well, this may have nothing to do with...
Because Black Widows eat their spouses and kill them.
This may
maybe I'm a Black Widow.
have anything to do with chronological orders, but Hannah's normally on top of this stuff.
Yeah, she's way out.
What?
So I'm gonna say,
Do you know why I said Cara? Is it evident?
There's a lot of reasons we could pick that tonight.
So I don't need to.
So what? Well, no. What was your specific?
God, man, she just says a lot of stuff. You know.
You think she smashed her own head by making herself look silly?
Yes. I personally.
That's what.
do.
That's what. What's his last name? Nichols?
Josh Nichols.
No, Zach.
Yeah.
I think that's what he would have said. She smashed her own head because she made herself look silly.
She again. It's not a good look when you're saying you have a very healthy, perfect relationship when everyone.
And no,
watching
Jenna was the
knows
one
it
that spoke up. How many people do you think up there? You think it's 100% when everybody kind of rolled their eyes? Maybe not the UK kids because they're not aware of much.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I think anyone who's been on the show before kind of has a history. Yeah. I'll. You know what? As much as I liked both of them, I'm gonna say, Zach and Zahida as a team got their head smashed. Not because they lost, but because they were not smart enough
To not pick Wes and
to
Dean.
not go after the Black Widow of the group. But yeah, it was a bad call. Again, Zach should have known better. He should have taken the role, and not in a misogynistic way, but just, I've done a bunch of these challenges. You don't want to go after Wes when there are other teams we could take out.
I know Wes, and I know that this is not a good idea. I just
Why couldn't they go after Josh and Amanda?
I don't know.
Because
that's so stupid.
Because Amanda was kind of, she wasn't. I think their reasoning was she wasn't. What they said was that she wasn't aligned
with
Pauly and them. So they someone said at some point they thought
there was Wes,
but they said at some point they thought Wes was secretly aligned with Cara and Pauly. Now, if that is true, and
you're not gonna have him back on the pod.
No, I'm not saying that. That is one of the most deceptive things, and
I don't think anybody else thinks that.
We'll see how the season plays out. But if Wes came into the season having Pauly and Cara in his pocket, not, by the way, not trying to make a Polly Pocket joke, but I don't think he is, because he did not have nice things to say about Cara. But
okay, if
know.
you remember, Wes went on to Challenge Mania podcast, and he talked about the time that he poured the Coke on Cara.
That was before he was coming back for the show, just for timeline's sake.
Yeah, and so he was like, I think nowadays, I think we would be really good friends. I think we get along really well. That was a while ago.
That was before he came and filmed this season.
Now they've filmed this season. Maybe he did have an alliance worked out with them, and then he got to know her.
Well, to be fair,
and now he doesn't have nice things to say.
I don't think so, because she's so closely aligned with Johnny on most things, and he said everything that we know that's anti-Johnny from the last however many seasons he's behind, which that may be hyperbole, but or
it might be true.
He took credit for the Young Bucks and the Lavender Ladies and all those.
He did, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, we'll see how true that is. But
do you think he came up with the names?
No,
I think the Lavender Ladies, they named themselves because they were in the purple room.
All right, we got to wrap this up. Let's be quick with these, because
Beta Blocks 2 and 3. That's what he would have named them.
Yeah. Do we need to preface why we do this?
Yeah, if you're new here, one time on episode 3, Jake and I.
Boys Night.
It was Boys Night.
Okay, I wasn't talking. I wasn't explaining it. We just got to talking about music, and some people reached out to us like, "Oh, hey, I didn't expect that to intersect with the challenge at all." So at the very end of the podcast, we give a high school album of the week that we listened to a lot when we were in high school. We do it at the very, 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 very end of the podcast after everything else challenge related, because if you want to turn it off, that's fine.
You're not missing anything.
No,
maybe.
But if you want to listen to us give our opinions on other things outside of the challenge for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it is, it's at
God bless your soul.
It's at the very
I have to say.
It's at the very end of the show for a reason. We're not doing it in the middle of the show.
Because some people don't know how to appreciate good music and good movies.
So anyway, that's why we do it.
We did have to explain it to Wes because he didn't know.
Everybody has their opinion, man. It's fine. If you're not into it, that's fine.
That's fine, but that's why we do it at the end.
But you know what? Some people are into it.
Yeah, so
God dog it.
So high school album of the week, Hannah, start.
Oh,
We're gonna be quick through these.
This week the Jonas Brothers got back together, so none other than A Little Bit Longer by the Jonas Brothers.
Jake.
Inner Party System.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know them.
Yeah, I told you they're self-titled. I think they're only actually.
I
Okay.
picked Manchester Orchestra. Their
good
album
one.
Mean Everything to Nothing.
Yeah, high five.
It is a great one.
What a
High
dummy.
five me.
No. The movie we're doing this. We're picking the year. We've just been going through years.
We're all picking The Dark Knight for the Joker.
Yeah, we
Gross.
we all saw that.
No.
And we obviously know what Polly's pick would be for this year.
Why so serious?
Which it is a great movie. Not gonna lie.
Quit.
Sorry.
If you tip my chair over onto my hardwood floors before I sell my house.
It's a great movie, but we're not gonna. I don't think any of us picked it. So 2008. What's yours?
Tropic Thunder.
It's great. That is a great movie.
I want to pick The Dark Knight so bad because why so serious? But
No, Polly already picked it.
Gran Torino because cleanest.
Clint Eastwood.
Clint Eastwood.
Eastwood.
You can't talk.
I love that movie.
Great movie.
It is a good movie.
It's really good.
All of the actors in it are not very good though. Great story, but the acting's very bad.
Don't you disparage Clint Eastwood?
It's not Clint Eastwood. All the other people. I went
That's
with
racist.
I went with Cloverfield.
Oh, that movie scared me so
that
bad.
was-
Because it's one of
Yeah.
the few movies in my life that I've ever seen more than once in the theaters. I saw it twice in theaters. First introduction, T.J. Miller, and
I forgot T.J. Miller was in that.
yeah, it's. I'm not a huge fan of found footage stuff, but I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Great movie.
What other movies have you seen twice?
We don't have
in
time for
theaters?
that. So
Black Panther was one of them.
So if you're new here, follow us on social media at Smashing Heads on Twitter, at Smashing Heads Podcast on Instagram.
We like to think we're funny.
Search us on Facebook. Again, follow us on Podbean. We may get up on Spotify soon. Subscribe to us on iTunes. Also, if you enjoyed the West interview, if you want us to do more things like that, rate and review it. Again, 5-star ratings help us out a lot. It helps us find new people. And part 2 of the West interview hopefully will be up Saturday, but we have a wedding to go to, so it might be Sunday night.
We do have
Jake
a
is
wedding.
way off mic. I don't know if you can hear what he's saying, but at worst case, it may be Sunday night. But other than that, we will see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.
He's so far away. I don't know if that picked up.